Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back with another episode of the Buckeye Roast. I'm here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
Surviving day by day. We're getting through this season. We're on week 2 now, halfway. So I'm happy. I'm excited. It's a good football weekend.
People always ask us why we don't do this year round, and if you knew how I felt today, that would be the answer. But
Yes,
we
sir.
are here, man. Action packed week full of content. Mike did an episode of The Fans Edge last night. Me and Chris Drew were on Bleacher Report talking about things to monitor going into the Western Michigan game. And we are here with a special guest. You guys know him in the chat as Johnny, the guy that comes in harassing you guys every morning with the champs comment in the chat. I know our guy Dan follows it up with an asterisk as such, but we got a special guest today and we got plenty to get into, Q. So we're going to jump right into it. Breaking news last night, Billy Napier names DJ Lagway the starter after Graham Mertz suffers a concussion. I would imagine he is hurt, but man, we made it one game before they got their true freshman quarterback in the game. Are you surprised that it took even this long?
No, I mean you knew it was coming. Billy Napier didn't want to go sacrifice Lagway against Miami because he knew the onslaught that would ensue. And we said this is the perfect time now. You've got that big first game out the way. Now you got a few games to kind of warm them up to college football. So no surprises here, but I kind of figured. I mean, Graham Mertz with a concussion, no surprises here.
Yeah, with the way that team played out there, man, that was a disservice to that young man putting him out there for slaughter against that Miami team. But do you think that was a political decision by Billy not to put uh, DJ out there early just because I'm not giving that other fan base the opportunity to say, hey, they beat up on our 5-star quarterback that we were super excited to bring in, the future of our program? No way we're starting with a stain on his resume, losing to our rival. No way they're going away and doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this was the plan all along. Lagway was definitely a guy that needed some confidence, and you didn't want him to go out there and get his confidence ruined. And now you can say, well, we put Lagway in, and the season started to really pick up after that. So that's kind of the answer. Give me another season and don't fire me. So it looks like that's going to be the plan going forward here.
Absolutely. Before we get to the next topic, I forgot to mention it at the top of the show. We still do have our ticket giveaway going. It will be announced on Friday's show, so be sure to enter that. The pinned tweet with all of the instructions on how to enter to win 2 tickets to the Western Michigan game on Saturday are pinned at Best Damn Media on Twitter. So make sure you check that out if you still have not entered our free ticket giveaway. In other news, Quinshon Judkins took a shot at Old Miss, said it was cool to play in front of 100,000 people in the shoe because at Old Miss he could only do that for road games.
Well, credit to him, there's very few places like the shoe, as we all know well, and they packed the stadium. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was quite as bad as what the Miami quarterback said. Of like, yeah, there's actually at least a crowd on road games. It wasn't quite as big of a shot like that. But like you said, there's no place like playing in the shoe really in college football. There's very few. So I'm gonna take it as a big shot. Oh, Miss, you just gotta get your game up. That's all you got to do.
Absolutely. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was Will Howard spoke with the guys from Buckeye Talk and told them a story about when he first got to Ohio State where he made a mistake and Ryan Day asked him why he did that after Ryan Day starts screaming at him, asked him why he's doing that. And Will Howard tells him, well, that's how they taught me at Kansas State. And Ryan's like, well, we don't do it like that here. And he talked about the adjustment that it took, like when he first got here, realizing that he really never got developed by like a quarterback whisperer per se, like a Ryan Day, and thought that he wasn't taught everything correctly, especially for the type of talent that he was thrown to at Ohio State. Talked about how it looks like everyone's open on TV, but if you're not right in your mechanics and your timing, then it throws everything off. How much of a jump do you think Will Howard can make having being with a quarterback developer for the first time and learning things at a high level at Ohio State? Are we underselling the potential jump that he could take under Ryan Day this year?
I wouldn't say we're underselling it. Obviously, it's a guy going from his fourth year to his fifth year. I would expect some things to be massively different. If he walked in and was like, "Yeah, this is just how we do it at Kansas State," I'd be like, "Uh-oh, that's not good at all." So I'm glad there was some kind of adjustment there. I mean, I expect Will Howard to come out and be Justin Fields in like 4 games later? No, I don't. I still think he has a ceiling. I don't think he's ever going to have quite that deep ball maybe the Ohio State fans are yearning for. But I feel like JT Barrett was a very good comp, and I feel like he's probably a little more talented at JT with his arm. So I feel like he's right there of the verge of like he could be a solid pro, get some seasons in the NFL with the tutelage of Ryan Day, which is more to say because he had eligibility to go to draft last year and he didn't. So clearly he didn't feel that way. He could last in the NFL before coming to Ryan Day for the answers.
Absolutely. You bringing up the NFL is a great point that not only is this going to help him as a quarterback in college, but this can improve his draft stock. And I wonder if cleaning up his mechanics and putting more things on film does that for him at Ohio State. One last thing regarding the Buckeyes before we get to those piss skunks up north for the update. We have an update on Donovan Jackson and Cody Simon. Ryan Day said both of those guys practiced, but they're still listed as day-to-day. Good sign for the Buckeyes going forward. Do you expect either one of these guys to play on Saturday?
I wouldn't. Again, I would let the guys get reps. There's really no reason to, especially too. We have another bye week right after that, so they'll get a significant break before their next game. I would rest them. I don't think they're going to play him, but with Ryan Day again, you never know. He ain't letting nothing out until the SEC rule hits the Big Ten. He quits and goes to the NFL because that's the last straw. So I don't expect these guys to play. It'll be good to see Lyman get more reps. It'll be good to see Hicks and Harbaugh Reese continue to get reps, and Cody Simon come back in full health in game 3, week 4, and we'll be good to go.
Absolutely. Great to hear that those guys are back at practice. But we are going to get to a Team Up North update. Despite our hate for that team up north, we do have some friends that are fans of that team. And we got one of them that you guys may know because he terrorizes you guys every morning in the chat. Our guy, Johnny Olden Jr. Appreciate you joining the show, man. How you doing?
I'm all right, y'all. How's it going?
Pretty good. Q.
Yeah, not too bad out here, man. Just another morning. So Johnny, I've seen your content a bit, but I always like to ask people when they come up here. So it's usually a very bad loss that gets people out on YouTube of like, I gotta say something. So what made you start covering Michigan on YouTube?
I wanted to a while ago, like 2013, 14-ish. Yeah. But I was nervous, didn't know what to do. And you know the usual stories.
Yeah.
So we had lost to Michigan State with Devin Gardner. He got sacked like 10 times or something. And I was so mad after the game. I took out my phone and I wrote like a 3-page report on everything I was mad about and why we lost, all this stuff. So fast forward to 2017, we're coming off 2016, a good year. We almost beat Ohio State, had a squad. 2017, we come back and we're losing. And I had enough. I think I started my page the beginning of that year. So I wasn't really mad. I wanted to vent regardless because I'm always wanting to talk football. So I didn't just start my page when we started winning. I've been here.
I want to take it back even further than that. We usually ask people how they became fans. How did you become a fan of the team up north?
Oh, I was born in Michigan. So Saginaw, Michigan. I was born and raised in Frankenmuth, Michigan, and those were the good years, the glory years, Woodson and all of them. And I had a friend, my best friend. His dad had season tickets to Michigan and Michigan State, but I always liked Michigan more than Michigan State. So
and how does that happen? Because I'm always curious of how people make that decision between Michigan and Michigan State.
Back then, Michigan was on top. So it wasn't a hard decision with Woodson and the boys. Michigan was always better back then, like for sure. So I always liked him, but like my boy, he liked Michigan State with TJ Duckett. He was a TJ Duckett fan. So he kind of liked State a little bit more back then, but now he's about Michigan. But I always liked Michigan more.
Yeah, so I want to follow up. Obviously, you talked about the trials and tribulations of the success of the early time as a Michigan fan, and then that straight streak after Tressel got here of like every year. It's like, God damn, we ever gonna beat these dudes? Okay, we got one. Now I got to wait another 5-6 years. Now that time has arrived, unfortunately for us, because we started in the negative time, so we're kind of reflecting how it went for you. How does it feel with that flip of just like, not like, are we ever going to beat Ohio State, to now like I walk in that game expecting to beat Ohio State? So let me know, what has that transition been like?
It's been a slow process. It was a slow process, after Lloyd Carr. Well, y'all were beating us with Lloyd, so when Tressel came and you could see the change in the culture and the players with Colorette and those boys, what they did. Then Beanie Wells running through our defense, just the year after year, whether it was Haskins, whether it's Dobbins, Justin
Which
Fields.
year tested you the most? Which year tested your faith the most?
It was probably the revenge tour.
That had to be the one.
And if it wasn't that year, because that was 2018, it was 2019, because I had been on a campaign for Don Brown to get fired, I think halfway through 2018. And then the game comes, we get destroyed. And when we had a pretty good team that year, 2018, we get destroyed because Don Brown Ryan Day reads them like a children's book. So we get destroyed. 2019, we come back, get destroyed again. So I had a campaign to get rid of Don Brown. I said, when we get rid of Don Brown, I bet you we can beat Ohio State.
We're no stranger to campaigns for firing coaches around here. We've been doing so we can definitely appreciate that. You're no stranger to our audience. How did you find us?
I'm not really sure, honestly. I watch so much content, whether it's I watch a ton of Ohio State and Michigan content. So I was probably it was in my feed because it's Ohio State. I watch so much Ohio State stuff. And people say, "Oh, you're obsessed." Yeah. I was born in the rivalry. Yeah. You're not? You're not obsessed with Michigan?
Q wakes up every morning at 5 a.m. to talk about Ohio State. So I'd say we are all obsessed around here, so you don't have to sell us. But yeah, man, I always wondered that because we've talked before, and you said you're not a Twitter guy. That's where most people know us from. So for you to find our channel and then be in the chat or as a regular, man, I was like, we got to talk to this guy, especially as I told you the other day, the revelation. I'm talking to Chris and he's like, yeah, Johnny's black. What?
Yeah, I do have an old
on
man
the show
name.
instant. We gotta get bro on immediately. So I'm super glad that we're able to do this, man. And honestly, long overdue. So definitely had to ask you about that. But
hey
so
Ron,
go ahead.
Ron, real quick, you want to know what's funny? Before this whole live YouTube content kind of started, and then you found out what everyone looked like, I remember listening to Jay Book for like the longest time, and I had no idea he was black until he finally went. I was like, Jay Book's black? Then I was listening to Chris because everybody thought Chris was black because of his radio voice. And then we finally see him on YouTube. It's like, Chris is black? Like, all right, who's not black in Buckeye?
Yeah, it's gonna be a surprise for everybody when they find out Berm's actually black too.
Him and Austin Ward.
Is Nevada Buck
Him
black?
and Austin Ward. Would you say?
Is Nevada Buck black?
Well,
we may never know. But man, the statute of limitations is up. You guys are national champs, 3-time Big Ten champs. How confident were you going into all 3 of those games? Was there any game that you were truthfully did not believe that you guys were going to win out of those 3, or were you confident all 3 years that you guys were going to get it done?
The first 2021, I wasn't sure because it had been so long. So I was nervous. I knew y'all defense was garbage, but
generationally garbage.
I felt like y'all had the mental advantage. We've beaten these dudes so much that they can't beat us, type of stuff. It took Aiden Ojabo. I know y'all gonna say we cheated, but it took players that were really focused in on beating y'all. Like they took it serious, like it hasn't been taken in a long time at Michigan.
You're cheating, and I feel like you're reading ahead on my show notes because I'm going to read you the next line. Aside from cheating, what changed?
I watch so much Buckeye content. I know y'all. I know y'all.
Man, it's a Michigan thing too, man. He's trying to 8 mile us. He's like, I know your bars.
Yeah, I know you. I know everything you gonna say about me here. So, well, there's a lot that changed. People don't seem to realize this. Chiron Moore became the not offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach. Yeah. Mike Hart came running backs coach. What do you call it? Clink. They also Gaddis stopped speed and space, and Harbaugh made him embrace, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, so that was a big change. And it was also the players. The players stopped being became more of a player-led team. So the players really started holding each other accountable on reaching these goals and not just letting it be the coaches and then people slacking off. You need those leaders.
10 years from now, when people ask you about the players that were most instrumental in this change, not specifically on the field, but as part of the culture and implementing what is Michigan football that we know today, who would you credit that to the most if you had to name, 3 players that you think are the most influential in setting the current Michigan culture as we know it today? You can't name Connor Stallions.
Just need to stop it.
Aside from Manifesto, man, what players do you think were instrumental in the player-led culture? Because even aside from all the cheating jokes, you see the videos from inside Michigan's weight room. You see the locker room videos with Mr. -5 yards in the game talking about Ryan Day's a bitch. Like, clearly there's some sort of culture shift, because even outside of the dweeb Walmart wearing khakis, there's the Michigan culture over the last few years is so perplexing to me, because it's such a meld of so many different things. Because you have that kind of tough man, go to work, blue collar, we're gonna out physical you, we're gonna commit to the weight room type of vibe. You definitely have the swag, like with the Will Johnson, the buffs, the talking shit, like that's there. But then you also got this weirdo dork. Exactly. You got this weirdo dork leading the charge. How does all of this come together to what we saw the last 3 years?
Well, the number one player that changed it was Aiden Hutchinson. He took it personal. He took it serious. Like, he wasn't playing with dudes, holding them accountable in the weight room, everything. Like, he wasn't playing, and you could see it on the field. Like, he was the leader that's on the field and off the field. I'm holding you accountable. Meet me in the weight room in 10 minutes. Everybody. Nobody's second guessing it. Everybody's in there because he's not playing. He was huge. He's 6'6", built like a tank, so, but it meant more to him. His dad played at Michigan, so it meant more to him. He was the number one dude, if I can pick a player, that changed it. Him on that team, Josh Ross. But JJ McCarthy behind him was also, I don't know if I would put Blake or JJ. I'll say JJ, I guess, second. JJ, 2020, when it was going bad, he got a lot of the recruits and told everybody on Twitter, calm down, just calm down. We're going to get it right. He was a calming voice, like, I'm that dude. I'm the savior that you've been waiting for. Even if he didn't have the numbers, but he was just a gamer. Like, he was just that dude. So him and Blake Corum, obviously. Blake Corum got better every year, did whatever he needed to really do, whether that was gain weight, whether that was, coming back when he could have probably went to the NFL when he got injured. He came back. Business isn't finished. And then, we win a championship. Business is finished.
So if I could sneak one in here, I want to talk about Jim Harbaugh for a little bit and questions about him. So obviously the Harbaugh legacy started off, he couldn't beat Urban. It was to the point where going into 2020, you didn't know if he was going to survive and come back for another season. They bring him back in 2021. You talked about the staff, and I remember this vividly. I remember our beat thinking of all these guys just changing coach in different positions that they haven't coached before, bringing in new coaches, not a lot of experience. I forget the guy who came in and left right away and went to Buffalo, but just all this stuff. Like, what is the Jim Harbaugh legacy? Do you remember those early years and say, okay, glad he picked it up, he's a successful coach for us? Or are you just taking that championship and like, nothing happened before 2021? That's the first year of football I remember. That's what we get a lot on Twitter. So what is your legacy of Jim Harbaugh as the Michigan coach?
I love Jim Harbaugh, but I remember how it started, because when he came 2014, 2016, we were right there. We were like, okay, boom, it's happening fast, and we lost against Iowa, which put a lot of pressure on the game. Then we lost the JT is short, whatever you want to call it. We lost, and after that, it got reset.
Wait, what did you say there? JT was what? JT was
the
what?
JT was short game. That's what people call it.
Okay, I was just making sure
because I don't think he was.
I don't
care about no JT no more. I don't want to hear about no JT.
JT is a champ too. JT is a champ. JT will show you his ring.
Get out of here with that bench championship. I was on the bench.
He was hurt.
Alex Orgy and Jack Tuttle got a title too.
We definitely got players that we got to talk about their rings later in the show. But
let me go.
Go ahead. So, bring it back.
He had Jed Fish, because Harbaugh and his offense it goes up and down, and he's stubborn with what he wants to do, the old school running. So he had Jed Fish, which the pass game was looking good, but him and Jed Fish, they didn't get along. Like, he was the best pass game coordinator we've had / offensive coordinator. I've wanted him back since he left, but they didn't get along. Then you had the Gaddis years with Don Brown, which was just bad. It was bad. Don Brown, them. So you had to clear Matt Weiss. Then you go to 2022 with Matt Weiss. Him and Chiron Moore are co-offensive coordinators. Matt Weiss was horrible on third. He was the short yardage play caller and red zone. We weren't that good at short yardage. We weren't that good at red zone. He was garbage. He got fired for computer crimes. Chiron took over. You see what Chiron did. We got rid of Don Brown after 2020, and then you got Mike McDonald to Jesse Minter and now Wink. So that's Jim Harbaugh is good, and I always say this, and I'll leave it alone. Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. He's just stubborn. Most of these dudes are stubborn. They don't want to change. And if Harbaugh would have changed earlier, he would have probably had greater success earlier. But he wanted to hold on to like Don Brown and certain things, and stubbornness, it holds some of these coaches back. They get in their own way.
Yeah.
You brought We were talking about the head coach. I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on Chiron Moore and how you felt about the hire, and did you think that was the guy for the job?
Honestly, I thought that I believe Sharon was the guy for the job because the culture fit in retaining the roster also. Because we already lost so many players just to the NFL and graduation that if you would have got a new coach, those dudes, all those studs on defense that is probably gonna have to carry us this year to whatever we are, a lot of them dudes were gone. They were gonna leave if Sharon didn't get the job. Once he got the job, they were like, okay, cool. That's my guy. Like the players love Sharon. So he kept the roster intact. And you got to understand where Michigan was before this culture rebuild and the branding and everything that it is now. These new coaches don't know what it took to make Michigan what it is. So that's part of the reason that I was happy.
Bro,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
watch
you
the
have
show too much because you're reading ahead on the on the outline. Because literally the next thing was, were you surprised he was able to maintain his roster? And you hit the nail right on the head as far as them hiring him and knowing that he was a guy that the team believed in, that they would stick around for. And I talked to our guy Darnell about the same thing, and he said when Buckeye Scoop came out with all of that, oh, these guys are going to transfer, these guys are going to transfer. I talked to Darnell, and he's like, no. They love Chiron. There's no way. And he's like, and that's why the prices got so high. If it was any other coach, they might have left. But with Chiron still there, they weren't leaving.
Yep, they believe in him. They believe in him. And he knows what it took to build Michigan to where it is. Because Michigan doesn't operate like every other university, really. There's a lot of hoops you have to go through with administration. It's a lot different. They don't just go with the flow like a lot of these other schools, you know. I wish they would, but
so my question was Chiron Moore. Obviously, we know he's a first-time coach. We dealt with Ryan Day, following a legend, which at this point Harbaugh brought a natty to Michigan. So you can say what you want to say about him. He's one of the few to do that there. Are you confident that he can maintain the level of success that you've had over the recent years? I mean, obviously, this is on a high now to a plane where you're coming in expecting again to compete for a Big Ten championship. The playoffs is there, so even if you don't get in there, you still have a chance to go after a national title, basically year in, year out. Do you expect to I'd say every couple of years be like, okay, this is the year we should have a chance to win a natty, or do you expect it to drop off maybe a little bit to where it's like, we're a good team, we win a Big Ten every now and then, and we'll wait for a kind of a blue moon couple of classes to put together to win a natty? Where's kind of your gauge on success that Chiron Moore will have year in, year
out? I think he's gonna get it going, like, or maintain it, I guess you would say. He might have a dip because we're gonna lose a lot of that defense this offseason. So he might have a little dip, but where the thing that he does better than Harbaugh is he's better at recruiting. So you're probably going to see an uptick of a better caliber recruit dealing with Chiron Moore because he's just younger and he's not awkward. Harbaugh's an awkward dude. He's a good coach. He knows football, but everybody knows he's awkward. He's kind of weird. He's an incel. So that's where I think Chiron will take it up.
We talked about Michigan recruiting on the pregame show this past Saturday, and I asked Darnell, did they fumble a golden goose coming off the national championship? On3 put out their recent top foundations list. Michigan was not on it as far as the top collectives in college football. You would think coming off a national championship, that's usually the biggest recruiting bump that most schools see. The Michigan class currently sitting at number 13. I know you guys picked up a little steam there towards the end. Recent big flip, Ivan Taylor from Notre Dame, a little get back for CJ Carr, I guess. So you guys are getting things going, but it felt like it was an opportunity for you guys to really take off as far as the NIL world. Were you disappointed that it didn't? And how much do you think the scandal, or I don't know what you guys up there call it, may have played into
it? For me, I like to look at things in what's actually going on. So we won the natty, but there was so much indecision with what's going on in Michigan. You lose Harbaugh, most of the staff. You got the Connor Stallion stuff going on. That's huge. Those are the biggest recruiting pitches that the opponents are going to use. Ohio State, Penn State, or Alabama, they're going to say, well, they got a new staff. Oh, do you know what's going to happen with the Connor Stallion things? So to me, that was the big part where I was like, okay, it makes sense that we're not killing it in recruiting. The program just got it's just got changed from top to bottom.
Do you think those same factors are impacting the money?
No, I don't think it's the money. The money is a lot of Michigan donors and things. They're not with this new world yet. They don't understand we can pay these dudes. Do I want to pay these dudes like that? You know, it's some of that where they're still not. Michigan is just old fashioned, bro. Like they're just old. It's just an old fashioned school. It's one of the oldest universities. So that old money, they're still not exactly with the times of, okay, you can play these dudes. You're not just paying a corner or maybe the quarterback under the table anymore. All of these dudes can get paid now, and they're just slow to update what's going on to get with the program, really.
My question is, do you concern with that? College football in itself very much feels like is turning into what it was before, kind of a silent arms race where it's like the guys, the cartels are just moving silently, and now it's like, oh, they have that, to where now it's like Russia and the US of like, no, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. With Michigan moving slow, as you say, do you feel like this gives them the opportunity to step back and it'll be slow? Because Ohio State things, we've felt that way as well. We felt like we've been slow to do this. NIL's out, people start instantly picking our class, and it's really set us back a couple of years. I felt like that window to have a championship, how close we were before. If we had got a couple recruits earlier instead of losing them, maybe we would have been there. Do you feel like that is a chance to set Michigan back, and is that your main concern now going forward?
It worries me some. It does worry me, but it also we've built the teams off guys that really want to be at Michigan. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can go buy a team like, and I'm not talking about like Ohio State. They bought a team. You had most of your players. You know what I'm saying? Because people say Ohio State, y'all had like most of your guys came back. Like Texas A&M a few years ago, they basically bought their cold class with all those dudes. They didn't care. They were in there smoking weed in the locker room, hitting baddies. They having a blast. I'm leaving when the season over. I'm not staying here. So that's part of the reason why, like, yeah, I would want to get some of these dudes, but you got to understand you might be paying for a team cancer.
Do you guys feel like, are you confident that you guys are going to be able to continue to have the success and evaluation that you guys had under Harbaugh? Like, I mean, you guys, like you said, you guys didn't go out there and buy your championship team. You did it with guys like Mikey Sandersill, that's a 5'9" corner out of, the Northeast that most people aren't looking for. So do you have confidence in the evaluation still in that building to continue to find guys like that?
It worries me some. It does worry me some, because he found dudes like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Sainristil, like you said. Sainristil was playing
a touchy subject for Q.
Sainristil was playing wide receiver 2 years ago, and they switched him, and he just dominated it, like just making plays. So yeah, that does worry me a little bit.
I'll say, yeah, I still have not got over the days of Kenneth Grant. I have a tweet. I think it's 2021, and I pull up all the time. I'm like, he comes and he camps at Ohio State, and I have this thing with linemen where I say with defensive line, just like y'all, like no one runs on Georgia, but their defensive linemen are both like 6'4", 350. You're not running on them, and I'm like, I don't know why we won't replicate that. Kenneth Grant comes to Ohio State camp, runs, I think, just under a 5-second or maybe a 5-second 40 at 360 pounds. He's moving, he's athletic, and they just didn't push for him in the class. And ever since then, he's been the thorn in our side of like, this dude's a freak show. So that is my sore spot with Ohio State recruiting.
Every time Q
Harbaugh,
writes a show and I'm reading through the outline in the morning and I'm like, really? This guy's name in the show again? Like, you try to talk about him 2-3 times a week.
Harbaugh called him and Mason Graham when they were freshmen blessings from the football gods.
Say blessings from Ryan Day along with JJ and Donovan Edwards. So they'll them in there too.
Yes, sir.
So I asked you earlier how you guys refer to the scandal up there, and you called it the Connor Stallions stuff. So I have to ask, did you watch the Connor Stallions documentary?
Yeah, I watched it.
Did they get anything wrong in there? Or was it they got everything right?
I don't know. Hey, I don't know. You know, I didn't know much about him. Like Michigan fans, we didn't know much about this dude until I just saw that. Like I didn't know he was born and raised a Michigan fan like that, a crazed Michigan fan. I guess his mom said, and made that plan to do whatever he had to do to just be on the staff, and then he gets in the scouting world and all that. I didn't know anything about that, really, So it was interesting to see, but
I won't hold your feet to the fire too much when it comes to this documentary. I just want to know, is that him in the picture?
Yeah, that's the one I got.
It looks like it. It looked like it.
Yeah. I think that's really the one where when you heard all the scandals and stuff, it's like, all right, well, this sounds extreme. You buy tickets to games and all of this, but that picture at CMU on the sideline with the glasses, like, what was your immediate? Just look at that picture. What was your immediate reaction the first time you saw that?
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? That's not my season. What is going on?
Were you nervous at all? Like come crashing down last year before the season came to an end?
At first, I was a little bit nervous, but then I realized they're not going to stop us from playing these games. And even if we ain't got Harbaugh, even if we ain't got some of them coaches, ain't nobody stopping this train. And I'm exactly that money. They gonna let us play them games. So I was like, I had a campaign of ain't nobody saving y'all. Big Ten ain't saving y'all. The NCAA ain't saving y'all. Ain't nobody saving y'all this year. No, sir.
Alabama, fucking bums.
Bama, Washington. Ain't nobody saving y'all this year.
Now I know you're a homer, but I have to throw this in here. I have a theory that, and this is the thing, just being an Ohio State fan. Every time we go and it's our chance to win a title or get close, we run into the Avengers. We run into the Ravens, the Patriots, like all kinds of teams where it's like we're getting people's best shots or their legendary teams. Last year, I felt like Georgia was the best team in the country. They obviously had gone back-to-back twice. They lose to Bama and get put out of the playoffs, don't get a chance to defend their titles. How would you have seen, let's say Michigan, let's say Bama just replaced Georgia, or Georgia just replaced Bama. Y'all were on the other side and you made it in the championship. How do you feel like that game would have gone?
I'm not sure. I never really thought about it, honestly, to keep it real, because I never really had to. But I'm not sure. I think it would have been a kind of low-scoring game because they play pretty good defense, and so do we. Yeah. But I do know they didn't have a good pass rush last year.
They'd have called that shit the Dust Bowl. Two teams that are about a three yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, it would have been, because Michigan's defense last year was no joke. Like, it didn't really matter who we played. They weren't going for it. You know what I'm saying? But they had a good defense too, but they didn't have a pass rush. So I don't know. It's a pick 'em. We wasn't scared. We was preparing for Georgia. We had the Georgia drill.
Y'all didn't look like y'all wanted to play Alabama.
Yeah, we showed you. So,
we
don't
like, when you
play
played them, you beat them. But when they made that announcement, y'all didn't look too excited. I seen the video.
That's because we thought Florida State was supposed to get in. Honestly,
I didn't know you guys were big Florida State guys up there in Michigan. You guys were heartbroken. For
Mike Norvell. Undefeated. What are you talking about? That was an undefeated team, and they didn't give them a chance. I mean, we was gonna smack them. Oh well, we was ready for Georgia. We were prepared. We got the Georgia drill, like we got the beat Ohio drill. So we were prepared for them. Bama beat them. All right, we'll beat your big brother, Georgia. It don't matter to us. SEC, you going down this year. Y'all can thank us for beating the SEC, putting the Big Ten back on top.
No. We don't do that conference shit up here. Especially when it comes to that team. This is a family program. I'd give you a list of things that I'd root for before that team up north. Oh man. So we talked about as you guys call it, the Connor Stallion stuff. I have to ask you one last question about that situation. Is the hammer coming?
I always find it funny when y'all say that. What is
We're talking full SMU.
If you thinking that's the hammer, if that's your hammer, that ain't coming.
Your game's not on TV. Scholarship limit.
Going through the stadium, they make you rebuild it to pay for your crimes.
That's not happening. I expect them to get fined, probably lose scholarships. Maybe
they're
somebody
make you guys go build a Northwestern stadium. That's your punishment.
That's a high school stadium over there.
You guys will finish it in a week.
Yeah, but I expect us to get hit with something, but I wouldn't call it a hammer. Nevada.
If you guys were to vacate wins and or natty, how would you feel about that? Would it taint the national championship for you as a fan?
No. I got the memories. You can't take the memories from me, boy. The memories I done downloaded them into hard drives for my kids. I want to be had of memories.
I want to hate this answer, but if Ohio State wins the Natty and it comes out that we had a scandal crazier than Michigan, I'm like, fuck it, we won. I don't care.
Exactly. This for me. I done had too many bad years. Y'all ain't taking it from me. Mm-mm.
You know what was the defining moment when I stopped hoping? Well, not hoping, because I still would absolutely take it if the NCAA wanted to bring the hammer to you guys. But when I realized that like nothing was going to change, there was no punishment that could ever, I don't know where it was. It's a video. I'm sure you've seen it before, but it hit the timeline probably the day after the Natty, and the streets were just completely filled wall to wall. And Mr. Brightside was playing in the streets. There's people climbing up light posts and shit. And I'm like, bro, they could fucking delete the film from this game. You're never taking it from those people that were just out in the streets there. And like, that's the thing as an Ohio State fan that sucks about it the most, that like, you can fucking erase it from the record books. You can delete the film. It's not even about what the national, I don't like y'all. Like, there's a few Michigan fans that I kid you not, bro. Like last year, I'm sitting there watching an NFL game, and like just from being in the public eye now and like going back and forth with Michigan fans, bro, I high five motherfuckers when the Lions lose because I know Michigan fans are mad. Like I fucking root against Detroit everything, because if I know that there's a Michigan fan having a bad day, it makes me smile. So anytime I can steal a little bit of joy, and I cannot wait. I'm going to say the line. I cannot wait until November.
Oh, boy.
Just wait until November.
Okay. y'all been saying it. It ain't been going y'all way, but hey.
One of
we
these
lived in
years
that shit for 20 years, okay? We're only 3 years into this shit.
We stopped saying it.
What year did you guys stop saying it?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Actually, I had this question before. I forgot to ask. When all this turned around, you finally got that Ohio State win. Who was the first person you called to say, I told you, you've been dogging me out for years. We haven't won in so long. Who was that first? Because I know I have friends that they don't even watch college football. And they just root against Ohio State just so I can live in misery. We can lose to Indiana. They wouldn't care. They'll call me and bug me about it. So I know you had to have somebody on your head constantly year after year after year. Who was that first person you called to talk shit to?
It's my homeboy Damon, the one I used to bet with, and then I didn't bet that year, and then we got him, and he was trying to call me up. Y'all did. Nah, don't call me with that, bro. Don't call me with that. You know what it is.
Oh,
so, man. I'm looking at the timeline and I'm like thanking God because we are through the time machine portion of this show and we are back to reality this season. What the fuck is going on at quarterback?
Your guess is as good as mine right now. Your guess is.
Are you a part of either camp right now? Do you have a horse in this race?
Well, Davis Warren, he can throw the ball, but he locks on his first read. From this one, all we got is this one game to go off of. So, because we didn't get anything out of camp, we're not like y'all. They close practice, so he locks on his first read, and that's a problem. And sometimes he didn't read the field. He just go to the check down to the flat. Like, bro, there's no pass rush. Look at the defense. What are you doing? So that's the problem with him. If he doesn't have a good running game, he's screwed probably. Like, because he's a one read. If you pull that one read stuff against Texas, they're gonna get a pick six. I guarantee it. Now, I'd rather have Alex Orji. Even though people say he can't throw, he can throw some, but he's got some issues. But he's a mobile quarterback, so he can help the run game, and that helps the offensive line while they're still trying to gel. So, honestly, if I was Chiron Moore, I'd be running the Boston College offense or something like that, and we're gonna wishbone it and we're gonna run it down your throat all game. And you're going to just have to figure out a way to deal with it. But we're going to eat up the clock and play good defense. That's what I would do. But I don't – on my channel lately, I've been saying it looked like y'all don't know what y'all doing, honestly, with flip-flopping them quarterbacks like that. That was wild. That was wild.
You mentioned your channel. Let the people know where they can find you at.
It's my name, Johnny Olden Jr. I'm on YouTube. Cooking Buckeyes and on shorts, and I'm also talking pre-game analysis, post-game analysis. I do live call-in shows if y'all want to call in and say your piece and talk your stuff to me, whatever. It's all good. And I do regular analysis on the Buckeyes just from what I see, not even from a Hayden, Michigan point of view, but just my real analysis on what I see about the team.
Just ball knowing.
Yes, sir.
Can I stick this one in real quick? I always wonder when people create content, and we do. So obviously we did this for a bit. We kind of like got headway pretty quickly, and a little bit I realized, like people are watching. Like I'm starting to get alerts on Twitter, starting to get people just following me. I'm like, okay, like we got something here. When was that moment where you realized you were creating content, you're putting videos out, and you start to realize like people are liking what I'm doing, they're watching me, I'm maybe starting to get follows on Twitter. Like what was that? Was there a video or there was like a moment that hit you of like people like what you do?
It was a slow process, and then I started to kind of take off a little bit, I guess you could say. And I think it was when people started hitting me up on Facebook and coming to my Instagram, like trying to find out more about me and trying to get a more personal interaction with me, kind of. And I had a lady, COVID year, I had a lady, I was just making content because there weren't any games at first. And a lady hit me up and she was like, her son watches all my content. He had some type of sickness or disease or something. And she was like, he's in the hospital all the time. All he likes to do is watch your content. I'm like, whoa, like really? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the NFL or something. Like he's my favorite. It was that type of scenario. It was crazy.
But I always tell Q, it's like it's all those moments are always humbling because it's like we don't think of our audience as fans. Like we're regular people. We go to work.
Exactly.
We're fans of this team too. Like you're not fans of us. We're all Ohio State fans. We all just like this team that brings us together. So like when you hear stuff like that, man, it's super awesome to hear.
Yeah, it was super humbling for something like that, because I get people reaching out all the time just wanting to talk sports, but that was kind of different.
Yeah.
So it was very conversational. I remember for us when we got together, one of the things that hit me a little early was it's so surreal that people that I had followed for a long time and now is almost like looking as like peers of like I remember Jay Book. I actually met Jay Book when I visited here way before I moved here, and we have group chats. We're just talking, going back and forth. I got his number, and I'm just like, it's so weird that a guy that I've been like watching year after year, like my introduction to Buckeye content, and you can now have conversations with people like that. Is there anybody for you that's like, I watch this guy make content for a long time, and now he watches me, we watch each other, maybe we collab? Anything like that ever happen?
I guess Chris Drew, when Chris reached out, because I was watching him, he's on Menace to Sports. Like I'm just a small guy. He's they doing numbers over there, So when Chris reached out, I was like, whoa, okay, and going on Voice of College Football, doing stuff like that. And I've had a few of those moments,
Yeah, you mentioned the Voice of College Football. I like the Mark Rogers channels too. Like I watch the Voice of College Football Ohio State. I watch the Wednesday shows when he has Tony and Kevin on there too. So like when Mark reached out to us as well, like that was a super cool moment of just like, hey, like one of mine was like even just like interacting with the guys that are at Buckeye Huddle now, Tony Gerderman, Kevin Noon, Tom Moore, those guys. Like I watched their show religiously. Like, so like when we first got monetized and got our first super chat, the show ended and I was like, holy shit, like 2 years ago, like I was sending super chats to Tony and Tom and all of them. And then the connections that we've made throughout the years and like the former players that we've had the opportunity to talk to, going to the facility, all of those different things. Like just a few years ago, we were just watching a lot of all of these shows now, and then to be doing a show 5 days a week during the season and all of these other things, it's been a whirlwind.
I had Joe Milton's high school coach reached out to me 2020. Like he just reached out to me. I didn't know him or anything. And he was like, you want to interview Joe Milton? And I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So me, him, and his two high school coaches, Coach Hayes, shout out to Coach Hayes. We, I was in the interview with them, asking them questions. And this interview gets published in the Sports Illustrated. So they had to credit me with being a part of the interview. So that's something else that just came out of nowhere. Like,
yeah.
And before you started, go ahead, Q.
I was about to say on that, I remember one time, this is when we just had Buckeye BS before Buckeye Roast even started. We were just doing Sunday show. Of course, we're winging it. We're a lot of times late to prep. And I come in and we have a group chat. I just look at it and they're like, yeah, what are we going to ask Garyon Conley tomorrow? And I was like, wait, what? Like he's on it. Like, you gotta tell me none of this. That he's on the show. I just remember those moments where it's like, we are really moving here, but it's just crazy when stuff happens. It's like, I can't believe this is on. Just like Ron went on Bleacher Report. I was like, wait, who?
Yeah, when Bleacher Report reached out to me last year, I was like, what?
Okay. Absolutely, definitely not turning that down. But yeah, man, it's definitely surreal as creators. Just like all of us have the same background, starting as fans, and then it's just like it grows from there. And it's just been a super cool experience, and definitely always love asking creators about those experiences. Of course, you perpetually reading ahead in the show notes. You hit on it a little bit. You talked about the O-line concerns and questioned if Alex Orji was going to have the same run game that JJ had. Because when you were talking about Orji playing, you said if he has the same run game. Do you think you're going to have the same level of production from the run game? And is the offensive line a bit of a concern for you guys?
Right now it is, because they're young. Well, they're not young. Most of them are like juniors, seniors, but they have to gel. Everybody knows this. The offensive line has to have time to play together in real games, to gel and, go through those battles together so they understand what each other's strengths, weaknesses, and communicate. So right now it worries me. And that's why I want Orji to get the chance to play more, because he can help them out, especially Donovan and Mullins. When that end wants to crash down on that read play, Orji is an actual threat, so he can't crash down. He has to stay at home. So that's why I want Orji to play, so he can help them out with the run game.
Do you think Donovan Edwards' struggles in week 1 were more about Donovan Edwards or the offensive line?
Probably the offensive line, if I'm gonna be honest about it. Donovan has his struggles, but if you just watch the tape, he's not getting a hole. He's got nowhere to run a lot of the times. Like, yeah, he could probably be more physical, but it's not like he's running through gaping holes, or the offensive line is just not creating holes for him, really. So,
is Mullins a threat to take over the lead share of carries there, or is he more just benefiting off of just better blocking during his reps?
I think Mullins might turn into the workhorse like Blake was, and Donovan's gonna stay in his same role like last year. It's looking like that might be the case. Now, Donovan has been known to show up in big games, but that was a different offensive line. It wasn't this young offensive line trying to gel, So that's the big question.
If you get a random call and someone asks if you want to interview Donovan Edwards, let him know he better beat Ohio State in November, or I am going to play that video of him saying, "I told you we ain't never losing to them," on endless loop for the rest of my life. It'll be my alarm. It'll be my white noise in the background when I'm working. I will play that video over and over, because I was like, if you were going to record that video, you should have went to the NFL to make sure that you can guarantee that you're never losing to them, because I feel like that video is going to come back to haunt them. You should have left with everyone else.
Throw them receipts away. Keeping them on receipts.
I'm holding on to him, because I won't throw him in his face if the Buckeyes don't get a national championship. But if he stayed in school after saying he wasn't never losing and he was going to watch, and he watched them win a national championship, which gets me to another one of my questions. We had a black stripe alert for the Buckeye fans still watching and not throwing up after listening to us talk about Michigan for 40 minutes. A black stripe alert at practice. Joey Velasquez, a name familiar to you, loses his black stripe for the Buckeyes. So I have to ask you, if Ohio State wins a national championship, does two-time national champion at Ohio State and that team up north, Joey Velasquez, get invited back to Michigan reunions?
No, not to mine. You gonna win a natty and then go to Ohio State? Boy, get out of here. You stayed.
For the Buckeye fans For the Buckeye fans not familiar with that name, the Buckeyes received a transfer from the team up north in the transfer portal this past spring. Joey Velasquez just had his black stripe removed at practice. And yeah, former Michigan national champion. I wonder what the rules are
He's
about
a linebacker, right?
Yeah. I wonder what the rules are about him wearing his ring.
Why y'all take him? Why y'all?
What do you mean? He just got his black stripe off.
Yeah, he's doing something right in practice. I say we need that, man.
Is he Benedict Arnold? Is he public enemy number one in Ann Arbor? What was the fan base's reaction to that, or did it not make big waves when he made the decision?
It was like, okay, you going to them, but we really didn't give a damn because he never played.
But you guys got your get back. You took 2 from us. You took our recruiting director and Tony Alford. Talk a little bit about those 2 additions to the Michigan staff.
Now we like the little baddie for the recruiting staff, appreciate that. She can get the boys, we ain't gonna get into that, but she was a good exactly good hire. Good hire. We know what's going on there. Tony Alford, I know y'all seem to don't like him before he left. Y'all didn't like him, right?
I like Tony Alford.
Yeah, it's a very
Tony Alford is a very interesting figure in the Buckeye fandom because I feel like it's very split. It's actually not very split. It's a lot of people don't like him, and I'm like, he had Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson in the room. He got Trey. He almost landed Bijan until God called him and told him to go to Texas. Oh, talk about sick to bro. I'm not going to be able to go to work today because you guys are fucking making me sick this morning talking all this Michigan. Now we're talking about Tony Alford missing on Bijan Robinson. I'm going to have to call in because I am physically ill right now talking about these things. But I thought Tony was a good coach. I mean, we talked about the 3-headed monster. I mean, Evan Pryor just ran for 100 yards and a touchdown at Cincinnati, a guy who transferred out, the guy that came in the class instead of Donovan Edwards. Travion Henderson, the number 1 back in that class. Mayan Williams, the guy that they found late, a big contributor. Chip Trainum, they got him to come here and play. He was a former they got him to come here to play linebacker. They ended up moving back into the running back room. I don't dislike Tony Alford, and he was about to land Bo anyways. I think he would have landed Bo at Ohio State regardless, and I think the kid that's at Kentucky would also be at Ohio State. The hate for Tony Alford, interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it was very love-hate. And it's a battle of things. First of all, there's a lot of Buckeye lore who's so committed to recruiting that Tony was so on and off where Ryan Day and Brian Hartline and those guys were landing 5 stars every year. Where Tony, it's like 1 year, it's like, all right, we're on to something. The very next year, it's like, what are you doing? I think we spent the last year with
and the flips.
Huh?
The flips. Jordan Wow and Mark Fletcher. I mean, you look what Mark Fletcher is doing at Miami. Bit of a miss.
I think they had a problem with that. On the field, though, I always liked Tony Alford because I felt like on Saturdays he had guys ready to play and we had a good running back regardless week to week.
Yeah. So I'm
even down to Dallin Hayden. Sorry to cut you off there. I mean,
I think was a beast.
He was exactly so. Yeah, so I mean, the Tony hate is weird for me, and I feel like a lot of people get caught up in the rivalry as far as, oh, how can he do that? How can he do that? Blah, 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 blah. Like, Ryan Day wasn't giving Tony another contract, so he was going to leave after this year regardless. So if Michigan came and gave him more security for his family, I mean, at the end of the day, I love this rivalry. It's football. Like, bro he has to feed his family and do it right for his kids and his wife. And if Michigan gave him more security, I'm not mad at him.
Yeah, I'm looking to see because against Fresno State, he only had Mullins and Donovan. They're the only 2 running backs that played. I kind of wanted to see our third back. Does he kind of put something?
Not going to happen. That's why Dallin Hayden's in Colorado.
He does.
Yeah, I mean, Dallin Hayden had 3 games where he rushed for over 100 yards as a true freshman, and then redshirted the next year. Yeah,
redshirted. Had me nervous 2022, I believe that was. Or was that 23? Whichever year that was.
23. Yeah, Cam always says that he always talks about how Dallin. No, yeah, it was 22, his freshman year. Cam always talks about how when Dallin came in, he was getting more yards than any other back on the team. But yeah, you saw what he did. He had Michigan fans concerned, and then he comes back to Ohio State, red shirts. Now he's at Colorado. So it's like he doesn't rotate. I mean, he'll play one, he'll one, two.
I would say it was very much Ryan Day as well, who Dallin Hayden struggled in the pass block, and he didn't, and he was like, I'm not having Ohio State very does something where if you don't do it prototypical, you can't go do it. It doesn't matter if you run a 4-2, like if you can't run routes correctly, you're not playing, and we're not just going to use you at what you do best. You got to be well-rounded.
See, I hate that, bro. I hate that.
Welcome to life at Ohio State.
Like, if a dude is fast, I don't need him to run a route like that. Throw him a screen, run a drag. Just get him the ball and let him do what he does best, run.
So, no, I agree. I don't know. I don't know if Tony doesn't do depth because we really didn't find out that year right before he played Notre Dame and Evan Pryor got hurt. That would have been the year we found out if he would go 3 or would he just stick to a two-headed monster, and Evan Pryor tore his ACL right before the season. So that would have been the answer. So he might go further in the depth chart at Michigan. He might not. I guess you'll find out before we will because we never got the chance to.
But I mean, every time Tony had to dig deep into the depth chart, there's always been a guy there, even to all the way down to TC Caffey. He brings in, we had a walk-on that, I mean, famously, it's one of my favorite Spaces lines ever. We had one of our friends, Kasai, one of Ohio State's fans, not a fan of us. Our guy Kasai comes into the space and he says, and TC Caffey, he could be like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire for us. And I'm like, all right, I love the Buckeyes just as much as everyone, but did you just compare a walk-on to an NFL back? But Tony has every guy on that roster ready to play. So that's the one thing that if you don't see a rotation and you see a guy for the first time, I'd bet he's probably be ready to play.
I can live with that, I guess. If not, I'll let him have it on my page.
So you guys have a massive matchup. I know we are running a little long here, so I don't want to hold you much longer. You have a big matchup coming this week against Buckeye legend Quinn Ewers. What are your thoughts going into this game against Texas? And are you guys worried about seeing your first loss in what feels like, at least for Buckeye fans, a fucking eternity?
I don't forget how it feels to lose. Here we
go. These niggas.
But I'm nervous, of course, not because Quinn Ewers and their offense. I'm not really worried about their offense like that. I know they do a lot of RPO screens, a little no huddle, hurry up type thing. I'm not really worried about that too much. I'm worried about our offense. Will they be able to sustain drives so our defense doesn't get gassed? So that's my real worry about Texas. But I'm riding with Michigan because I think the defense might be able to do enough to slow them down. And even if that's having to score on defense, our defense is coming. Like, a lot of people watched that Fresno State game. They didn't realize that Michigan was rotating bench dudes that won't play against Texas. They were rotating dudes in the first quarter. Like, what are you doing? Like, they were really treating it like an exhibition. It was wild. I didn't like it, but that for whatever reason, they just chose to put bottom of the bench dudes in the first quarter on defense.
Yeah, so I want to follow
any
up
questions
that.
On this game? No, I was just asking if you had any questions on this game.
Yeah. So for Michigan to come out on top, I want to ask this: for them to do that, who on the squad has to have a big time game? If Michigan wins and we say, "Oh man, they really pulled it out," who's going to be the headliners to be like, "Oh, this guy was very dominant," or "This guy really controlled the line of scrimmage"? Like, who are those guys that we need to watch out for on Saturday?
Probably Donovan Edwards. I know we all know him, but we need him to have a game like 2022, OSU, 2022 Penn State, the national championship game. we probably need that out of him. If not, probably Khalil Mullins has took on that Hassan Haskins kind of role, or I guess you could say Blake Corum kind of role, and went for 25 carries, 130 or something like that. But it's going to be different if Donovan gets it. He's explosive in a different type of way.
Most
on
definitely.
defense, there's so many dudes on defense, you never know. But if they throw at trouble, number 2, you're gonna find trouble. You're gonna find it.
No,
this Saturday,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Q. No, I was gonna say, so this Saturday, Quinn Ewers has the potential to be the first commit in the Ohio State 2021 recruiting class to beat the team up north. Does this count as a win for the Buckeyes if Texas wins on Saturday?
Oh, Buckeyes.
Can we reset the clock after Saturday if Quinn Ewers wins?
Y'all do not get any trash talk points. You get nothing.
You get 126, right?
You get nothing if Texas beats us. Late November, y'all still got to handle business against us. You don't get to talk trash. If we lose to Texas, y'all don't get to talk trash.
If y'all lose to Texas, I'm gonna come on the show Monday. I'm gonna have a blonde mullet coming out of the back of my hat, talking about horns up.
He's not even that guy anymore. He cut that. He's got too many endorsements for all that.
I got a Ewers jersey in my closet. Ohio State bought it when he got there.
Let me ask y'all this real quick. Why do y'all still embrace Quinn Ewers when he basically stick up kid, y'all? He came, took some money, and dipped.
See, I feel like my answer is different than most Buckeye fans, so I'll let Q go first.
I mean, I really don't claim Quinn Ewers like that. It's just kind of funny for me to pick at guys because we had it with Joe Burrow where he was here for 3 years and he left and had all success. And LSU fans just hate it. And we're like, well, he learned everything here and he just had a chance to show it in the weaker SEC. So with Quinn Ewers, man, obviously all credit goes to them. I felt like Ryan Day really lost one here and not being able to keep him around because I feel like we would have a couple more natties to talk about if you put him with the team we had last year. So
y'all blame Ryan Day, not Quinn?
Yeah,
well, Ryan Day fumbled that. Quinn should have never got here when he got here. Ryan Day handled it the way he handled it, and rightfully so. Like, Ryan Day had every right to handle it with the way he showed up to Columbus. I mean, it was just a fucking complete disaster. Ryan Day is in the process of getting C.J. Stroud ready to start for the first time on the road against a fucking conference opponent, like, and Quinn Ewers, like, brings this fucking circus to Columbus 3 weeks into camp. So, like, it was a no-win situation. Quinn kind of just showed up, and Ryan had every obligation to that team to say, I don't give a fuck about this high school kid. I have to get my team ready to play football. And, like, Ryan Day, like, Quinn Ewers wasn't even thrown in practice. Like, he wasn't even getting reps. Like, until Jack Miller got that DUI, he wasn't even playing. So, like in practice. So Ryan Day had, like, no emphasis or of coddling this kid when he got to Ohio State because it was like, a season to worry about. I didn't know you were coming here. And, like, he did his best to try to acclimate him to Columbus, but at the same time, like, he almost fucking lost to Minnesota. Like, so how worried can you be about this 17-year-old kid that just got here with $1 million and a mullet? Like, I can only put so much blame on Ryan Day for that situation. But as far as me, why I still root for Quinn Ewers, for obviously what Q said, it's funny, kind of like the Joe Burrow thing, and it pisses people off. It's just kind of like Quinn Ewers, Ohio State legend, one handoff. But at the same time, I'm a stargazer. I'm obsessed with ratings. And if someone tells me a guy is a 1.0 quarterback, I'm going to believe it until they're bagging groceries. And so that's like, anytime like you have a prospect that you tell me before they can drive a car that they're going to be the greatest, I love following that story from start to finish. So, like, any of these guys, like when you, like the Jabari Parker, when they put him on the Slam cover and said he's the next LeBron, Ben Simmons, all of those type of players. I love following that story from start to finish. So to see Quinn, a guy that has been anointed the next Trevor Lawrence and the next great one, the next 1.0 prospect, I love following that. So just aside from him being a Buckeye, picking the Buckeyes, because I could remember when I first found out about Quinn Ewers, telling my family, like my family, they're all Pitt fans. I'm like, there's this kid, like he's crazy. He's going to be a 1.0 prospect, has this goofy mullet. He's going to Texas. Like he was this big Texas lane. And then he decommits. I'm like, they're talking about this kid's coming to Ohio State. So like the Quinn Ewers saga has been fun to follow. And of course, rooting for him. And then, of course, the nod to the Buckeyes. He called you guys the team up north. Once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye, right?
He gonna pay for that. Look, he better hope they can run the ball on us, which isn't likely since we got the best 2D tackles in the nation. So it ain't likely they're gonna be able to run the ball on us. So if they can't, your boy gonna be like Michael Penix after the game. Or better yet, how y'all did the Akron QB.
You sure you want to win out the game? Because then you might learn about. You guys might get the Arch Manning takeoff show.
What do you mean? We're gonna do it the same way. 2 for the price of 1.
Just like Dwayne Haskins.
Huh?
How'd that work out when Dwayne Haskins came in the game? I was there.
Don't speak on that, man.
So while we're here, since I know there's probably Michigan fans watching because you're here today, I'm going to take you through one of my greatest sports moments ever, man. I was in the crowd for that game. I took my uncle, who is a Team Up North fan, to that game for his 50th birthday present. We're in the crowd, hammered. There's Michigan fans like just talking shit. And then JT goes down, and I'm like, everybody else in the stadium's like, who's this? I'm tapping my uncle. I'm like, he's the truth. Just wait. Man, my greatest sports memory ever is watching them send, around the stadium as you guys walked out in defeat with your heads hanging. So I felt like this last 3 years is karma for being from Pittsburgh and just happening to be in the big house for one of the greatest games in the rivalry's history. So I feel like I'm living through karma of having one of the greatest sports experiences ever of my life.
When that happened, I didn't get happy because I was like, I know they got another dude on the bench. I know they do. So I didn't get happy. I was like, yeah, makes sense.
I always see it all the time. I just love that moment in the Amazon Prime doc where JT goes out and Rashawn Gary comes to the sideline. Who comes in 7? We about to light his ass up. Next play.
I hate Rashawn Gary. Like I hated him. I got years of saying this dude doesn't do anything. Every year I pick out a player on Michigan and I just give them hell the whole year because most of the time they deserve it. So he was the one for 2018 or 2019. I was on his head until he left because he never lived up to the hype.
Can I nominate someone for you this season?
Never lived it. Come on. Who you got?
Samaj Morgan.
Oh, y'all mad at Samaj because he was talking that good stuff after he got y'all.
He got us. I'd like to. I don't have the box score here with me, but if you check the box score, if you look at Ron James and Samaj Morgan, I had more yards than him in that game last year.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Ryan Day's a bitch, 6 is a bitch, 18 a bitch. He ain't say. I guarantee he won't say. He won't say 18's dad's a bitch. I tell you that. That'll be the last TikTok he make.
Samaj is gonna talk his shit. He gonna talk his stuff now. So
is he gonna back it up?
Is he gonna find out? I mean, he's explosive. He's explosive. It's just one of the problems I'm seeing with this staff is, and I'm starting to wonder. I did a video earlier, and do y'all know how to get players, how to scheme players open, how to get fast guys in space so they can do what they do. Like that's what I'm wondering about this staff. Kurt Campbell, really, since he's the new offensive coordinator, do you know how to get guys open, how to scheme them open, get them in space so they can run the fast guys? Because we got a bunch of fast guys like Samaj, Fred Moore, Amarian Walker, Donovan Edwards.
I mean,
Well, you guys seem to have had a solution for that against Ohio State. Just push everyone the fuck out of the way and just run through the biggest hole you've ever seen. That works.
And also, too, sounds like, I mean, I think Gaddis is still out there. If you need speed and space,
good God,
you need. That's what
Maryland looked decent this weekend.
Yeah, that's because he's got Mike Loxley over watching him. Like, nah, I'm gonna get you a job, but just let me handle the game plan, buddy.
I've never seen anyone benefit more from standing next to people because, man, he must be a good-ass friend because a lot of people are constantly putting her like, come on, you're coming with me.
You know, they were beefing back when he first left. They were beefing at first, and then I guess Loxley felt bad for him after
because Gaddis tried to take credit for his offense, correct?
Yeah, and Loxley was right. Like, dude, this was my offense. It wasn't yours. We learned that firsthand at Michigan.
It's
speed and space.
It's so fitting that we wrap this show up with the game week of Michigan, Texas with some Josh Gaddis talk. No better way to wrap the show, to bring it all full circle. If you know, you know. But a big thank you to our guy, Johnny Olden Jr., for joining us today. Johnny, let the people know again where they could find you. We appreciate you joining us. Appreciate you for always supporting the show, for being a loyalist in the chat and raising hell in the mornings and getting everyone going. We really appreciate it, even though you root for the most despicable team possible. But we appreciate you joining us because you're a good guy.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me. And, you know, I get the chat going. You know, they don't like it, but I'm really turning the page up because the chat is going crazy. So you get in the algorithm. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They always like, get out of here. Like, you just don't know I'm helping the show. But okay. Well, yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Johnny Olden Jr. You know, like I said before, I got pregame videos, postgame videos. I do car lives where I'm just talking about anything. It can be Ohio State or whatever's kind of on my mind in the car while I drive from work. And I got a bunch of YouTube shorts that are doing numbers. Some of them are funny Ohio State trolls, and some of it's just Michigan practice content and stuff, throwing a hard beat behind some Michigan practices. You know what I'm saying? You're not
absolutely.
Like
we get it. Exactly. And Q, running long here, you're going to be late for work, so let the people know where they can find you.
Not to hold us up, Johnny, let me get two quick ones for you. Have rapid fire. Score prediction on Saturday, Michigan, Texas. What happens?
20-17. Michigan locks down Quinn Ewers in the offense and gets a scoop and score or a pick six, and you know the offense manages to get a 14, you know, to equal 21. Well, 20. However, we got to get to 20-21 and hold them to 17, something like that.
All right. And second quick question: how much do y'all lose by Thanksgiving weekend in November?
What?
You heard it. How much do you lose by over under
November?
Are you putting that on the record? Are you putting that on the record here?
we don't lose
on September 4th. You're predicting that Michigan 4 times straight.
Yes. As abysmal as our offense has been through one game, y'all still got to beat us. Y'all still got to execute on that defense, and we still ain't worried just yet. We ain't worried yet.
All right.
We've seen revenge tours go wrong before.
September, October, November. It's almost 3 months before we play. We got that much time to get our offense together before we play, y'all.
All right, you heard it here first. All right, I appreciate everybody in the chat coming.
Plant some wide receiver trees and grow them fast.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody in the chat coming through as usual. I am not hard to find. If you want to find me, I'm Steve Quinn on Twitter, Flying at Johnson on both Instagram and TikTok, and Minor League Films here on YouTube. If you're into movies, Ron, get us out of here.
Yeah, of course. A couple thank yous before we get out here. Another thank you to Gmo again for donating the tickets for our giveaway. If you haven't entered that giveaway, make sure you find the entry rules at Best Damn Media on Twitter. It is pinned to the top of the profile. A thank you to Doreen and Emily for always showing love on the timeline. Of course, a big shout out to everyone in the chat. Always appreciate you. And a big thank you to our guest, Johnny, for joining us. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TEES. If you want to, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. You can find us weekdays here for the Buckeye Roast at 8 a.m. here with my guy, Q. If you missed the Bleacher Report appearance with me and Chris Drew, we were live on the Bleacher Report app last night. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check that out. Our guy Mike was live with our guy Terry for the Fans Edge as well on the channel last night. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out. And of course, tons of content going forward the rest of the week. We have our guy Pat of Menace to Sports for a 3-day schedule because Q's going on vacation. We have an excellent benefits package here at Best Damn Media. And then, of course, Saturday. On Saturday, we have the pregame show. Me and Chris Drew on the Menace to Sports platform, the Best Damn College Football pregame show. And then Saturday's postgame in the Bleacher Report app after Western Michigan. So make sure if you need that late night Buckeye talk on Saturday after the game, you know where to find us in the Bleacher Report app. We appreciate you guys tuning into the episode. And Johnny, you get to be a part of the ending. You know how this ends. Go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.